I don't know why this is a thing. So I do a lot of abstract doodle art. You kind of just go through something. Some people call it intuitive art. Us artists also do something called non-intuitive art. Let me explain. I just did a small mini-series on some paper, and when we spend a lot of money on good quality paper, and what is it about the paper that makes it good quality? Well, one of the things, even if you get the pulp paper, it says right on it, acid-free. It says that's what you're looking for. You want it to say acid-free right on front. And then we paint with coffee. There's always inevitably some moron, could be me, who walks into a coffee shop and decides, oh, this stuff that I'm dipping, it looks like sepia. That's what it looks like. I'm going to paint with that. And you put the acid into the coffee to destroy the paper. We are geniuses, and without us, the world would not exist. So, my brother, this is disclaimer, because you know how much I love to say that. I'm not being paid for this episode at all. My brother started a coffee business. For some reason, the most recent coffee companies that have come into existence relate their coffee to guns, and they have done the same thing. So it's called Misfit Militia Coffee, and I ordered some, and he sent me a package right here. We're gonna see, he sent me some extras in here, so let's see what he sent me. The first one is 4 cartridges of 9mm Ain't Nothing But a Peanut Brazilian Roast. We're gonna see how that goes. And there's a little picture, there's bullets on the front of the box for some reason. But maybe it's because it shoots you right in the uvula. That little thing that hangs down the back of your throat, maybe that's what it is. This is what I actually ordered. This is the 12 cartridges of 40 S&W. I'm guessing Smith & Wesson if I had to guess. Crappy Cup of Joe Hold the Crap Colombian Roast. That's what the front of that looks like right there. All right, let's see what else is in here. Let's Go Brandon. That's a type of coffee, apparently. And a Guatemalan blend. And there's something else in the bottom that doesn't look like coffee. Let's see what that is. Yo Honey's Gonna Love Yo Buns. This is a bun scrub for those of you who need to scrub your buns. I think that's all of us. And this promises that Yo Honey's gonna love them. I guarantee it, or your money back. You try and find me. Yeah, it smells like it's honey, lavender petals, lavender oil, and lemon oil. And it smells amazing. So I'm probably gonna use this. So we're gonna paint with some of this coffee. I'm gonna pour 4 cups. I'm gonna use all 4 of them. I'll taste them as well, but I'm gonna definitely paint with them because that's what artists like to do, apparently. There's also the link to the site below, and there's a coupon code. He said, just for you, 10% off, Coffee with Pete is the code. And down below will be the link with the code that you enter when you check out. It's 10% off your order. All right, let's brew it up and see what we get. Okay, so I have tasted just about all of these, and they're very interesting. They're all very different, and I didn't expect them. I am not a coffee connoisseur. Those went extinct like a trillion years ago. That's what they tell me, but I'll tell you what, I saw one the other day down the road wearing skinny jeans and wearing hipster glasses. But I like to put a little bit of cream in my coffee, but I'm drinking these black right now because I'm going to paint with them. I'm going to use a regular watercolor brush this time because I know if I use a water brush, I'm going to dilute these, and I do not want to dilute them. I want to paint them full strength right on here. So I do have some water in this cup that's next to me that I will not drink because it's not in a regular cup. I know I won't do that. Now listen, I don't understand this because people drink. They're drinking their coffee at a coffee shop. They decide, oh, I'm going to paint with it. Now, if you have inside here, I'm sure you can maintain, it maintains some kind of particles. If you use cadmium paints or you use cobalt paints, I'm sure there's particles in here that can make you sick. You don't want to dip in there and then drink the coffee, and now all of a sudden you're poisoning yourself. And I'm not saying that I have not on occasion dipped my brush in my drinking water or drank from the cup that I was supposed to be the regular water I was drinking, and instead it was the paint water. But I'm saying that this is the result of doing that. You don't want to do that. So, alright, we're going to start here with this crappy cup of joe. Let's see how this works here. It's very light. I don't understand how people paint with coffee. Maybe I made it too light. I don't know. But anyway, it's very light. You can barely see that. I don't know if you can. I don't know if that's a good idea to paint with coffee like this. It almost looks like a sepia, but it's not really. It's like a very weak ochre almost. Let's see, the ain't nothing but a... Oh, that's a little bit darker. A little bit darker. Okay. That one had a little bit more to it, I guess. We'll go on to the... This is the full Guatemalan rifle. This is a Guatemalan blend now. And I'll paint with that a little bit here. That one even seems a little bit darker. I may be going in order of how the strength is on these, so that may be why this is happening. And here's the Let's Go Brandon. I don't know what that is. I'm on the website. Oh, it's a little weak. It's a little weak. It goes off script a little bit. That's to be expected. Oh, I'm just having some fun. Relax. So, let me let that dry for a second, and then we'll see. Maybe I need to do a second layer. I don't know how people paint with their coffee, and I know if I put this in a regular coffee press and then I did this, I'd probably get much more concentrated result, but I did not do that. I ordered the pods, so that's what I used, the pods. Okay, so now that these are dried and I have drank about half of each of these cups of coffee, and I'm wired at 1 o'clock in the morning, which is great for the rest of this video, I went ahead and took one of them and just put a hole in the very top of the cartridge and filled it with water and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then drained it out of the bottom of it, which has the filter. So this is this crappy cup of joe, but much more concentrated. As you can see, it definitely got a lot darker from what it was. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and probably use for some of this drawing. Right, so as you can see, it got a lot darker when I concentrated it. This is probably how I would want to paint with it. If I was going to paint with acid coffee, that's what I would do on my paper. But I don't understand. Other people, they just dip it right in while they're drinking and they put it... I think they have to concentrate it a little bit. I don't think you can just paint like this. This just... It's way too light to paint with. Maybe this one. This one got a lot darker. This one is very dark, and I'd probably say that this is how you're supposed to do it. But anyway, this is a little wet still. I'm going to leave that to dry, but it did get much darker on here. So I'm going to try this one and paint with it a little bit. And this is this one. I just left it in the coffee grounds for about 5 minutes. So let's see what I can do with this. Okay, so first things first, I just want to talk about this paper first. So it skipped across the paper a little bit without actually saturating into the paper, and I think that's because it's a different kind of paper. I don't know what it is. This has been taped to this piece of acrylic up on my shelf for probably a year or more. I forgot what I was doing that I put this even on here. I don't know what it is. It could be either a very textured hot press or a very smooth cold press, but I think it's a cold press paper, really. But it's very, very smooth for a cold press paper, but you can see some definite marks in there, some definite texture in there, so I think it is. But I don't know what it is, and it just acted very weird. Even the ink, when I put the ink on, it acts very weird on this paper. It doesn't really go into the paper. It kind of sits on top. There's a couple of spots. It almost acts like the oil paper that I was using way back when I looked at the Stonehenge oil paper, but I'm not sure if that's what it is. I really don't know what it is. So I just did this anyway, and I think it came out fine. It eventually worked the way that I wanted it to. It's just that the ink sat weird at the end, that's all. So I see a lot of people painting with coffee, and the reason why is because artists, they like to create with anything they can get their grubby little mitts on. So, and I'm guilty of that. I use things I shouldn't use. They're not artist grade material. I don't know why I'm using them, but I just find it interesting and a challenge to try and create with something that was not designed to be used the way that I'm using it. That's basically how I use all my art supplies, not the way they were intended, even though I just go on in all my videos about how you should use the product the way they're supposed to be intended to be used, so you're not frustrated with it. But the thing is, I don't get frustrated with it. If you're one of those people that you just like to experiment and you don't get frustrated easy, and you're someone who can just go into something and start creating with it, then try everything. I highly recommend that. It's not something that's going to be up on the wall forever. This is probably going to fade a little bit. You see it got some hard edges on there and really defined areas, and that's all it was really meant to do, stain the paper. That's really all you're doing is when you're painting with coffee. So most people, I don't know then why they go into this whole, they sit down and they actually paint the cup that the coffee is in while they're drinking from the cup that they're dipping their brush into. Because artists are weird. They do strange things like that, and people look at them like they're crazy because they are a little bit. That's just how it is. But this acted just how I wanted it to act. It was nothing special. It was just a little doodle painting that I wanted to do with the coffee. And I'm not going to paint a meal that I'm eating with the... I don't understand that either. People like to paint their meal. They put something down in front of it. You're gonna order that thing. It's gonna be hot when they sit it down. You're gonna start painting, and it's gonna be room temperature by the time you're done, because you just had to paint it. You couldn't resist. You had to, you see something, you pull that tiny sketchbook out that you had hidden behind your ear, and you pull that little palette out with the makeup tins that only last 1 or 2 dips of the brush, and you paint in the restaurant while everybody else around you is eating. They're wondering what you're doing. They think maybe you have some kind of weird thing, you have a problem, maybe you should see someone about that, and you're drawing your food. That's what you're doing. So that's fine. I'm not complaining about it. And if I see someone doing that, though, I'm going to go interview them and start talking to them and see why they're doing what they're doing. Let me know down below if you've ever done that. If you go into a place, you go to eat, and all of a sudden you just think that food looks so good, you have to stop, not eat it while it's hot and get the best experience from the food, but instead you want to draw it first or paint it first and see if you can get more out of it that way. And then when you eat it, it's going to be cold. You're going to complain. You're going to go on Yelp and leave a bad review, if Yelp is even a thing anymore. I'm not really sure. But you're going to give them a bad review, and you can say the food wasn't hot, and they're going to say, yeah, but you were sitting there drawing it for an hour. That's why it's not hot. That's why, or you're going to ask them to reheat it. They're going to throw it in the microwave. It's never a good situation. So if you're going to do something like that, get something that's okay to eat cold, that you don't mind, like a sandwich. Get a sandwich that is okay like that. But don't get a lobster dinner and then have it sit there and everything on it is cold, ice cold, before you can eat it because you're sitting here painting it. That doesn't have anything to do with coffee, but it's just something I had to get off my chest. Painting with coffee is fine. I did drink a lot of this coffee right before I did this, and it just kept me up. I was up until 4 in the morning because I just kept drinking the coffee instead of stopping. And so I drank like 4 cups of coffee at 1 o'clock in the morning or around then. It wasn't good. I'll tell you that, it wasn't good. I slept like 4 hours that night. So if you're going to do this, do it during the day when you can burn off some of that caffeine. So I just want to say a big thank you to my brother and his friends who sent me this stuff. I do appreciate it. It was very good. I did drink it multiple times. I did add some cream to some of them and drink them, but I did taste them all, and it was good. There's good coffee, and I've never sat down and compared cups of coffee next to each other, different blends. That was the first time I've ever done that, and I didn't think I would notice a difference, but you do. They taste completely different. You can notice the difference in there. Not all coffee beans are created equal. So I want you to let me know, do you draw and paint with your coffee or your tea? Some people use tea. And I've seen there are some different colored teas. You could get a really strong concentrated coffee and then like a green tea and then maybe like an oolong tea or a red rooibos tea. That tea looks interesting to paint with. Then just sit down, have a full palette available for you. Maybe some blueberry tea. I don't know if it actually looks blue, but you can try. I know they have blueberry coffee, but it doesn't look like blueberries, and it's usually just whatever. But anyway, Let me know. Do you do this? Is this something that you're fond of doing? And why do you do it? Please let me know. What possesses you to draw and paint with your food? I think it's because you're an artist and you just have that urge to create. So everything in the world that you see, you just get the urge to create with. You paint little mud drawings, and maybe you rub a little bit of grass on it to get some green on there. It's possible. I can understand that concept of it, but I want to know what goes through your head. Why do you're drinking something, you're like, oh, I think there's maybe some Kool-Aid, some grape juice. Those are some popular things with a lot of color, I think. So maybe you're drinking and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this would look good if I drew this thing with this. And you just start doing it and dipping your brush in your drink while you're drinking it, creating brain damage. And so one other thing I want to mention, when you go to the website to get the coffee, they have a little section that tells you what the calibers mean. I missed that the first time. I saw it later. I had no idea what I was doing. I don't do a lot of research about things that I'm reviewing. You can tell from all of my videos, and that's basically what you get from me. So, but you understand that. Okay, now I think I may have given you some advice in this video. I'm not sure. I could have. It may have been very vague, but it was advice nonetheless. But I know I'm being a hypocrite. Let me tell you something that really bothers me. I hate when YouTube artists tell you they're going to give you advice and then they just give you an idea with no specific details. I want to give you an example here. So, one of the things you click on because you're trying to sell your art, and you click on, oh, this is how you sell more art. Okay, I'm going to click on that video. And they tell you, okay, yeah, you want to sell more art? I have the perfect solution. First, you need to understand your audience and then create for them what they buy. And I just stare at the screen and I think to myself, I already know that. I know that I want to create something that someone wants to buy. You haven't told me anything. It sounds like it could be good advice. As a matter of fact, it is. But you're missing some key points of information. So first, how do you get to know your audience? That's a good piece of information. And then second, how do you know what they enjoy buying? There's another good piece of information to have. So those are the most important details that the person just leaves completely out of the video. It's like saying, I'm over here and I want to get to over there, but there's a big cavern between us. And the person says, oh, you just get over there by building a bridge. Well, I know that. You need some kind of bridge to get over there, but you're not giving me the instructions on how to actually get there. You're just telling me a general piece of information that I already know, and I'm missing the key information that I need to actually do what I want to do. And that's why these YouTube morons can continue to make video after video saying the same damn thing over and over again. And people keep clicking on the video. They just do something different. How to sell more video in 2023. It's different now. Last year, if you were selling stuff, it's completely different now. Now, in some circumstances, I could see how that could be an issue. But I'm telling you, if you can sell something to someone in 2022, you can sell something to someone in 2023. It's not that big of a deal. So let's take that first example I gave, understanding your audience. And what that person should have followed up by telling you is that they should define the details of your audience, and then anything that helps you understand them, such as their age, their culture, their skill level, their disposable income level, and things like that. Things that you actually need to know to market something to someone. That's the kind of information they should have gotten into. They don't. This is how you define your audience. If you're trying to sell to them, you want to make sure you understand what their buying habits are. That's the point of selling anything. Or not the point, the key to selling anything. That's the key to selling anything. Now, I want to just say that I want to relate this to me. I'm going to pick on myself here for a second. A couple videos back, or maybe the last video, I don't know when this one's going out. I record them in weird orders and I put them out in weird orders. But anyway, I did the video where I reviewed the Legion Stonehenge 300-pound watercolor paper, and basically in the beginning I did a little, this is how it acts with the masking fluid, this is how it acts with the tape, and then I said a couple of words in the very beginning of the sentence on that it holds washes well and things like that. And then I went on to the rest of the video. I didn't mention another thing about it. And someone said something. They said, hey, you were supposed to be reviewing this watercolor paper, and you really didn't. You really didn't say anything else about it after the first couple seconds, and they were a little bit upset with that. And I know all I have to say is I understand that, because that's exactly what I do in all of my videos. Anytime I review something, I say a couple of words about it, and then I go off on some tangent about some other ridiculous thing. But if you listen to this channel, you already know that about me. That's just something I do. And either you're used to it or you say something. And that was a valid criticism. That's when you go on any other art channel, they're talking about a review, all they do the whole time is talk about that one thing that they're reviewing. Not me. I don't tend to do that. My mind gets sidetracked. I go off on some weird tangent, whatever I'm thinking about at the time, and you miss out on anything I should have said about the paper, and I get that. I understand that completely. So now I do let you know if something really major is wrong with the paper. I just don't or whatever it is I'm reviewing, I just don't talk about it the whole time. I'll let you know if a point comes up, but otherwise I'm just creating the way that I create and seeing if it can hold up. If it's doing well and it's doing the things that I am asking of it to do, then I really have nothing to say else about that. It's just that's how I move along. Here's what I want you to do next time I do that. You can tell me, it probably won't matter, but you can definitely let me know and say, look, you were supposed to be reviewing something, you didn't. Don't worry, I'll do it again real soon. And that way I'll know, oh yeah, you're right, I didn't do it again. So it doesn't really change anything. It still wouldn't have been reviewed properly, and I'm not going to redo the video. But I will appreciate that you're paying attention and you let me know, hey, you didn't do, you know, the thing says review on it. You should maybe change it or whatever. But no, I'm not going to do that, because I tend to disappoint people. And if I disappoint you on purpose that way, then you don't have to look for anything to be disappointed in. It's the same thing with my art. If people always do that. They get to a point where they're like, I'm afraid to touch anything. I know it needs a couple final touches, but I don't want to touch it because I've come this far and it's done really good, and now I don't want to ruin it. So I do something in every piece, like in the beginning. Once I start to see that it starts to look good, I just do something to ruin it. And that way I can go through the rest of the piece and I have no stress, no pressure that I'm going to mess it up, because it's already messed up. It's a done deal. So that's just how I do things. But at least with art, like I said, I like to, everything else in my life, I'm just trying to be such a perfectionist at everything, my job and things in my house. No, when I get to this, I just let it go. This is art. This is a time when I can just let things go and do things bad on purpose if I want to. And there's no problem with that. It's your art. You do whatever you want with it. So thumbs up the video if you are going to buy some coffee and then figure out a way to concentrate it enough to paint with it, or you're going to do something similar with the scrub. I realized the scrub, the thing that makes the pumice part of it, the granular part, is coffee grinds. So it's a coffee grind scrub, and I don't know if you can use that for brush cleaner. Maybe you can try that, or you can just use it the way it was intended to be used and scrub your buns. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one.